The space probe Voyager 7 drifted back to Earth orbit after being missing for 30 years. Scientists at NASA were shocked. It wasn't supposed to return. Dr. Laura Bennett stared at her computer screen in disbelief as the signal appeared. The year was 2087, and humanity was about to change forever. "We need to retrieve it immediately," she said to her team. The probe had strange markings on its side that weren't there when it launched. Parts of its structure had been replaced with materials unknown to Earth science. Within days, the world's governments formed a joint task force. The probe was carefully brought to a secure facility in Nevada. When they opened it, they found a small device inside with blinking lights and strange symbols. It projected a three-dimensional star map with a path marked to a point near Jupiter's orbit. President Frank Martinez addressed the world on a global broadcast. "We have received what appears to be an invitation. We will send our best and brightest to this meeting point." 3 months later, the newly constructed spacecraft Independence departed Earth with Ambassador William Carter and Dr. Laura Bennett on board. They reached the meeting coordinates near Jupiter's moon Europa, where they waited nervously. On the 5th day, a massive ship emerged from what looked like a tear in space. It was beautiful and terrifying. At least 5 times larger than their vessel, with a smooth silver hull that seemed to flow like liquid metal. "This is Ambassador William Carter of Earth. We come in peace and friendship," he transmitted, his voice steady despite his racing heart. The response came in perfect English. "We are the Galactic Coalition. We have been observing your world for some time. We welcome this meeting." The aliens call themselves the Vordax, tall beings with blue-tinted skin and 4 arms. They invited Carter and Bennett to their ship, where they met representatives from other species in the coalition. Everything seemed peaceful. The Vordax leader, Supreme Commander Zexvor, offered technology and knowledge in exchange for establishing diplomatic relations. "Your species has great potential," Zexvor told them. "We wish to help you join the galactic community." What the humans didn't know was that the Vordax had scanned Earth thoroughly. They had found something they wanted badly, something in human biology that was rare in the galaxy, something worth taking by force. The diplomatic team returned to Earth with gifts of technology and plans for a formal meeting on the lunar colony. Scientists around the world studied the alien tech with excitement. Countries argued about how to respond, but eventually agreed to the lunar meeting. Ambassador Carter led a 12-person team to meet with the Vordax delegation. Dr. Bennett noticed something strange about their new friends. They asked many questions about Earth's population, military capabilities, and resource distribution, but shared little about themselves. "I don't trust them," she whispered to Carter during a break. "They're hiding something." "Maybe they're just cautious," he replied. "This is first contact for both sides." The meeting ended with signed agreements and promises of cooperation. The Vordax departed, saying they would return in 30 days with more representatives from the coalition. Exactly 29 days later, without warning, massive ships appeared in Earth's atmosphere above Beijing, Moscow, and London. There was no communication, no demands, just blinding light as energy weapons fired from orbit. The cities were gone in seconds. Millions dead. Earth's most powerful weapons couldn't even scratch the alien ships. As emergency broadcasts filled every channel, Admiral John Hayes took command at the Pentagon's underground bunker. "This is an extinction-level threat," he told the Joint Chiefs. "As of now, Earth is at war." Dr. Bennett, who had survived the attack, stood in the ruins outside Washington, D.C., watching fighter jets scramble uselessly against the alien ships. "They never wanted peace," she said quietly. "They were just scouting us for invasion." The first strike, as it would later be called, lasted just 6 hours. When it ended, humanity knew they were no longer alone in the universe, and that the universe was far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. 6 months after the first strike, Earth was losing badly. The remaining governments moved underground. Every major city had been hit. Billions were dead or missing. Admiral John Hayes looked at the reports with tired eyes. Another defeat. Another retreat. "Sir, we can't keep fighting them head-on," said General Linda Martinez. "We lose every time." "I know," Hayes replied. "But what choice do we have?" The answer came from an unexpected place. Dr. Samantha Wright had been studying alien tissue samples from a crashed scout ship. She made a discovery that changed everything. "They want us for our DNA," she explained to the Emergency Council. "Human genes have something they need. It's rare in the galaxy. They aren't just invading. They're harvesting." This explained why the Vordax took so many live prisoners. They weren't just being cruel. They needed humans alive. Meanwhile, in the ruins of Chicago, former Marine Daniel Phillips led a group of survivors. They watched as aliens searched through rubble, scanning for signs of life. "They always take the healthy ones," Phillips whispered. "Leave the sick and injured." His group had avoided capture for months by hiding in old subway tunnels. One night, they got lucky. A small alien craft landed nearby with just 2 Vordax soldiers. Phillips and his team attacked quickly. They killed the aliens and captured the ship. "Get it underground before they track it," Phillips ordered. The ship was taken to a hidden facility in the Rocky Mountains, where NASA engineer Paul Garcia studied it. He worked day and night until he made a breakthrough. "Their shields operate on a frequency pattern," Garcia explained to Admiral Hayes. "If we can match and counter those frequencies, we might have a chance." Dr. Bennett was also brought to the facility. She worked with Garcia to understand the alien technology. "They think we're primitive," she said. "That's their weakness. They don't expect us to adapt so quickly." Earth's remaining factories were moved deep underground. They started building new weapons based on the captured technology. Each defeat taught humans more about how to fight the Vordax. In Australia, the aliens established large processing centers where they experimented on human captives. Linda Russo, a nurse who had been captured, managed to escape with valuable information. "They're looking for specific genetic markers," she told military intelligence. "Not everyone has what they want." This knowledge helped the resistance plan better attacks. They focused on freeing prisoners and disrupting the aliens' research. 5 years into the war, humans had learned to survive. They couldn't win yet, but they weren't losing as badly. Small victories gave people hope. The biggest victory came when a team led by Captain Joseph Rivera captured a Vordax communication hub in what used to be South Africa. "We can listen to their transmissions now," Rivera reported. "Maybe even send fake orders." Dr. Wright studied the alien communications and made another discovery. "The Vordax aren't the whole coalition," she explained. "They're just one species. The others don't know what they're doing to us. The Vordax told them we attacked first." This changed everything. If Earth could reach the other species, they might find allies. Admiral Hayes called a meeting of all resistance leaders from around the world. Representatives came from every continent, traveling through secret tunnels and routes to avoid detection. "We've been fighting to survive," Hayes told them. "Now we fight to win." He unveiled the plan, using Garcia's shield technology and the knowledge gained from years of fighting. They would build a proper defense force, and they would try to contact other species in the coalition. For the first time since the war began, humans had more than just hope. They had a plan. The desperate years had taught them how to fight back, and the Vordax were about to learn that humans were far more dangerous than they had expected. The North American defense zone shook as Vordax ships entered the atmosphere. This was the largest attack in 2 years. Admiral Hayes watched from the command center deep under the Rocky Mountains. "All units in position," reported General Martinez. "Shield generators at full power." This time would be different. This time, they were ready. The Vordax expected easy targets. Instead, they found a well-prepared defense. When their ships fired, they hit shields based on their own technology. The aliens were confused. They didn't expect humans to adapt so quickly. Captain Elizabeth Morgan led the counterattack. Her squadron of fighters rose from hidden bases across the continent. The fighters were small and fast, built with a mix of human and alien tech. "Remember the plan," she told her pilots. "Hit and run. Don't stay in one place." The Vordax ships were powerful but slow to turn. The human fighters darted between them, firing at weak points identified through years of study. 3 alien destroyers fell from the sky. "It's working," Morgan said as she banked her fighter between 2 massive Vordax ships, causing them to fire on each other. The battle raged for hours. The aliens called for reinforcements, but the humans had planned for this. Paul Garcia's team activated jammers that blocked the Vordax signals. "They're cut off," Garcia reported. "No help is coming." Meanwhile, a special team led by Daniel Phillips approached the Vordax command ship. Their mission was the riskiest part of the plan. While the main battle distracted the aliens, Phillips and his team would board the command ship. "We have one shot at this," Phillips told his team as their stealth craft attached to the hull of the massive alien vessel. "Get in, get the data, get out." Inside the ship, they fought through corridors, using weapons designed to penetrate Vordax armor. They reached the command center and secured it in under 10 minutes. "Download everything," Phillips ordered as his team placed devices on the alien computers. "And grab that officer alive." Back at the main battle, the tide was turning. The Vordax, cut off from their command ship, began to retreat. Captain Morgan's fighters pursued, herding them into a trap where ground-based weapons could target them. "Don't let them escape," Morgan ordered. "We need to show them we can win." By sunset, it was over. For the first time, humans had won a major battle against the Vordax. The alien command ship had been captured mostly intact, along with a high-ranking Vordax officer. Dr. Bennett and her team immediately began studying the ship's systems. The captured officer refused to speak at first, but Dr. Wright had developed a way to translate Vordax brain patterns. They didn't need the alien to talk. "Their main fleet is stretched thin," Dr. Bennett reported after studying the data. "They're fighting on multiple fronts. We're not their only problem." This confirmed what they had suspected. The Vordax were at war with other species too. The data showed a galactic map with conflict zones across dozens of star systems. "Look at this," Dr. Wright pointed to strange signals in the data. "These are communications from other species. The Vordax are intercepting them." Working day and night, they decoded the messages. Many were calls for help against Vordax aggression. One species in particular, the Novali, had been fighting the Vordax for decades. Admiral Hayes made a bold decision. "We need to contact these Novali. If they're enemies of the Vordax, they could be our allies." Using the captured command ship's communication system, they sent a message to the Novali. It was simple. "We are humans from Earth. We fight the Vordax. We seek alliance." 3 days later, they received a reply. "Humans of Earth, you are not alone in this fight. The Vordax have many enemies. It is time we stand together." The turning point had arrived. Humanity was no longer fighting alone. The Novali ship emerged from a swirling portal above Earth's moon. It was elegant and organic looking, very different from the harsh metal shapes of Vordax vessels. Admiral Hayes and Dr. Bennett waited in a secure lunar facility as the alien visitors arrived. The Novali were tall and slender with pale green skin and large expressive eyes. Their ambassador, Eliax, bowed deeply to the humans. "We have watched your struggle against the Vordax with great interest," Eliax said. "Few species fight back so effectively." "We had no choice," Hayes replied. "It was fight or die." The Novali shared their story. They had once been part of the Galactic Coalition, until the Vordax began taking control through manipulation and force. Now many species secretly resisted Vordax rule. The coalition was meant to be a peaceful alliance, Eliax explained. The Vordax have corrupted it. They attack developing worlds, harvesting resources, and genetic material. Dr. Bennett showed the Novali what they had learned about Vordax biology. Their interest in human DNA suggests a weakness we might exploit. The Novali agreed. They introduced the humans to Dr. Kevin Washington, who had been studying alien biology in a hidden lab under the Atlantic Ocean. He had discovered something important. The Vordax have a unique nervous system, Dr. Washington explained, showing 3D models on a large screen. It's efficient but vulnerable to certain frequencies. We might be able to develop a weapon that targets only Vordax biology. While scientists worked on this new weapon, Earth's military leaders planned a coordinated attack with their new allies. They called it Operation Breakwater, simultaneous strikes against Vordax outposts across the solar system. Captain Morgan led a joint human Novelli fleet to Mars, where the Vordax had established a large base. The battle was fierce but quick. With Novelli shields protecting them, human ships could get close enough to deploy Dr. Washington's new weapon. It works, Morgan reported as Vordax soldiers collapse without harming any other species. Their ships are disabled. Similar victories came from other targets. For the first time, the Vordax were losing ground. Earth reclaimed control of Mars and the Moon. Other species in the coalition began to question Vordax leadership. The supreme commander of the Vordax, Zex4, was furious. He ordered a terrible response. Vordax ships released biological weapons into Earth's water supply. The weapons were designed to target human DNA. Millions became sick as the waterborne agent spread rapidly. Dr. Wright worked desperately to find a cure. The Novelli helped, providing advanced medical technology. They're targeting our genetic uniqueness, Dr. Wright explained to Admiral Hayes. The very thing they value in us is what they're attacking. As people died across the planet, Admiral Hayes gave a speech that was broadcast globally and to all allied species. We will not go quietly into extinction. Humanity has faced countless challenges throughout our history. We've survived ice ages, plagues, and our own wars. We will survive this too. The Vordax think they can break our spirit, but they have only strengthened our resolve. We are not fighting just for ourselves now, but for all free species in the galaxy. The speech reached even Vordax-controlled worlds, inspiring other species to resist. The Galactic Coalition began to fracture as more species joined what became known as the Alliance of Free Worlds. Dr. Wright finally developed a treatment for the biological weapon. It wasn't a complete cure, but it stopped the spread and helped the sick recover. Earth had survived another attack. The war entered a new phase. Humans were no longer just victims or survivors. They were leaders in a galactic resistance. And the Vordax were beginning to fear what they had unleashed when they attacked Earth. Richard Allen was not a soldier. Before the war, he had been a history professor at a small college. Now he worked in a windowless room deep under the Rocky Mountains, studying Vordax technology and language. Most people thought his work was less important than weapons research, but Admiral Hayes disagreed. Understanding your enemy is as important as fighting them, Hayes had told him. Allen's job was to sort through the massive amount of data captured from Vordax ships. Most of it was routine military information, but one day he found something different. Look at this, he told Dr. Bennett, pointing to strange symbols on his screen. These appear over and over in their historical texts. They call them the precursors. Dr. Bennett leaned closer. What were they? An ancient species, Allen explained. They existed millions of years ago and then vanished. The Vordax have been searching for their technology across the galaxy. As Allen dug deeper, he discovered something shocking. The precursors had visited Earth long ago. The Vordax had attacked Earth not just for human DNA, but because they believed Earth contained precursor secrets. This changes everything, Admiral Hayes said when Allen reported his findings. The Vordax don't just want us. They want something they think is hidden here. The Alliance Council met to discuss this new information. Representatives from 12 species gathered in the secure facility. Iliacs of the Novelli confirmed Allen's theory. The precursors were the most advanced species known to exist. Iliacs said. Their technology was said to harness the power of stars. If the Vordax find it first, they will be unstoppable. Earth sent teams around the world to search for any sign of ancient alien structures. Satellite images were analyzed. Old myths about gods from the sky were studied for clues. Dr. Susan Miller, an archaeologist who had been exploring unusual formations in Antarctica before the war, joined the search. She had always believed that certain ice patterns were not natural. The ice sheets have covered Antarctica for millions of years, she explained. If something was hidden there before that time, it would still be there, preserved and protected. A research base was established at her dig site. For weeks, they found nothing. Then, during a terrible storm, a section of ice collapsed, revealing a dark opening below. Miller led the first team inside. What they found stunned everyone. A vast structure of unknown metal stretched under the ice. It was clearly not made by human hands. "It's been here all along," Miller whispered as she touched the smooth walls that seemed to glow faintly under her fingers. Waiting. They ventured deeper. The structure was perfectly preserved. Strange symbols covered the walls. The same symbols found in the Vordax data about the precursors. In a central chamber, they found something remarkable. A holographic display activated as they entered, showing a three-dimensional map of the solar system. A voice spoke in an unknown language that the translation computers couldn't understand. Working around the clock, Alan and a team of linguists tried to decipher the message. After days of effort, they made a breakthrough. "It's a warning," Alan said, his voice filled with awe. "And instructions." The precursors had built a defense system to protect developing worlds from conquest. Earth was one of those worlds. The instructions showed how to activate a network of orbital platforms that could generate an energy field around the planet. When fully powered, the system could do more than defend. It could channel enormous energy into a weapon capable of destroying entire fleets or even star systems. This is why the Vordax came here, Dr. Bennett realized, and why they've been so determined to control Earth completely. They're afraid we'll find this. As if to confirm her words, alarms sounded throughout the base. Vordax ships were entering Earth's atmosphere in numbers not seen since the first strike. Somehow, they knew what had been discovered. The emergency alarm echoed through the Antarctic base as everyone rushed to secure positions. Dr. Miller looked back at the ancient structure with worry in her eyes. "We can't let them take this," she said to Richard Allen. "No matter what." Admiral Hayes ordered immediate evacuation of all non-essential personnel from the site. The data and translations were copied and sent to multiple secure locations around the world. If one team was lost, others could continue the work. "Project Aegis is now our top priority," Hayes announced to world leaders in an emergency session. "The precursor defense system may be our only hope of survival." Engineers and scientists from every allied species gathered to study the precursor plans. The system needed a network of orbital platforms positioned around Earth. Each platform would generate part of an energy field that could surround the planet. "We'll need rare elements to build these," Paul Garcia explained, pointing to complex formulas. "Elements we can only find in space." The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter contained the necessary materials. Lieutenant George Peterson was chosen to lead the dangerous mining mission. His team would need to extract what they needed while avoiding Vordax patrols. "We'll use small ships," Peterson told his crew. "Stay scattered and stay quiet." Back on Earth, construction began on the first platform components. Hidden factories worked day and night. The Alliance provided advanced tools and knowledge, but much of the work had to be done by human hands. Dr. Bennett oversaw the integration of precursor designs with modern technology. "The principles are the same," she explained to her team, "but we need to adapt their methods to what we can actually build." As work on Project Aegis continued, the Vordax intensified their attacks. They knew something important had been found, even if they didn't know exactly what it was. Their ships targeted research facilities and manufacturing centers. Peterson's mining team faced constant danger in space. 3 ships were lost in the first week alone, but they continued their work, sending back shipments of the rare elements needed for the platforms. "We're almost finished with the 3rd load," Peterson reported from his small ship. "Should be back in Earth orbit in 2 days." That night, sensors detected a massive Vordax fleet entering the solar system. This was no ordinary attack force. This was an invasion fleet designed to end the war once and for all. "They're coming for the precursor technology," Hayes said grimly. "They'll destroy everything to get it." The Vordax attacked with a fury never seen before. Their main force targeted major cities and military bases, while special units searched for the Antarctic base. Earth's defenses fought back with everything they had, but they were overwhelmed. Sydney fell first, then Cairo, then Rio de Janeiro. Billions watched in horror as the cities were destroyed one by one. At the Antarctic base, Dr. Miller and her team worked frantically to extract all possible data from the precursor structure before evacuating. Vordax ships were already heading their way. "We need more time," Miller told Hayes over the emergency channel. "Just 30 more minutes to copy the last sections." Hayes made a difficult decision. He ordered Earth's flagship, the Liberty, to protect the Antarctic base at all costs. The ship and its crew would almost certainly be destroyed, but their sacrifice might save the planet. Captain Frank Wilson of the Liberty acknowledged the order without hesitation. "We'll give you the time you need," he told Miller. "Just make it count." The Liberty moved into position above Antarctica as 5 Vordax battleships approached. Wilson knew his ship couldn't win against such odds, but winning wasn't the point. They just needed to delay the enemy. "All weapons ready," Wilson ordered. "Let's show them humans don't go down without a fight." The battle that followed would later be known as the Darkest Day. The Liberty fought with incredible courage, damaging 2 Vordax ships before being torn apart. Captain Wilson and his crew gave their lives, but their sacrifice allowed Dr. Miller's team to escape with the complete precursor data. As the Antarctic base was destroyed, Project Aegis continued. Humanity had paid a terrible price, but they now had everything they needed to build the ultimate weapon. 3 months after the Darkest Day, the first Aegis platform was ready for launch. It didn't look impressive, just a large metal satellite with strange patterns on its surface. But inside was technology far beyond anything humans had built before. "Will it work?" Admiral Hayes asked as he watched the launch preparations. "It has to," Dr. Bennett replied simply. The platform was carried into orbit by a joint human Novelli ship. As it reached its position, engineers activated the ancient systems. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a soft blue glow spread across the surface. "First platform is online," reported the launch controller. "Energy readings are stable." Over the next 6 weeks, 11 more platforms were launched. Each took its place in a carefully calculated orbit around Earth. The Vordax attacked each launch, but the Alliance fleet protected them. When the 12th platform reached orbit, the system was complete. The operators sent the activation signal based on the precursor instructions. Immediately, thin lines of energy connected the platforms, forming a glowing web around the planet. "The shield is up," Garcia announced with a mix of relief and awe. "Aegis is online." They tested the shield with a small missile. It disintegrated on contact with the energy field. Then they tested it with a captured Vordax weapon. The result was the same. "Now for the final component," Dr. Bennett said. The precursor design included more than just a shield. When fully activated, the system could channel enormous energy into a focused beam capable of destroying entire fleets or even star systems. This weapon capability was the reason the precursors had hidden the technology in the first place. Earth's leaders gathered to discuss this terrible power. The debate lasted for days. Some argued they should use it immediately to destroy the Vordax completely. Others worried about becoming what they fought against. "We didn't start this war," said General Martinez, "but we can end it now." "At what cost?" asked Richard Allen. "If we destroy their worlds, how are we different from them?" Admiral Hayes listened to all sides. The final decision was his, and he felt the weight of it. In the end, he chose a middle path. "We will use Aegis as a shield, not a sword," he announced. "We will demonstrate its power as a warning, not as revenge. Earth has suffered enough. We won't bring that suffering to others. The decision made, Hayes ordered a message to be sent to every corner of the galaxy. The message was simple but clear, Earth's final message to the galaxy. One more attack means total destruction. The message was broadcast in all known languages. It reached Vordax ships and colonies. It reached coalition worlds and neutral territories. It reached species who had never heard of humans before. The reaction was immediate. Many species called for peace talks, fearing the power that humans now controlled. The coalition leadership was thrown into chaos. Some members demanded action against Earth, while others began to distance themselves from the Vordax. Supreme Commander Zexvor of the Vordax refused to believe humans could control such power. He called the message a bluff. Against the advice of his officers, he ordered an attack on Earth's moon colony, where many humans and allies had sought refuge. "We will show them that the Vordax do not respond to threats," Zexvor declared. A fleet of 30 Vordax warships approached the moon. Earth detected them immediately. Admiral Hayes looked at the tactical display with a grim expression. "Activate targeting systems," he ordered, "but only focus on military vessels. Any ships with civilian signatures are to be left untouched." This was the moment of truth. Would the weapon work as designed? And if it did, could humans control such destructive power? The Aegis platforms began to glow more intensely. Energy gathered at a focal point above Earth's North Pole. As the Vordax ships came into range, all civilian vessels were warned to move away. Hayes took a deep breath and gave the order, "Fire." A brilliant beam of energy shot from Earth toward the approaching fleet. It moved faster than any weapon humans had ever seen. In seconds, it reached the Vordax warships. The result was both terrifying and awe-inspiring. The Vordax ships simply ceased to exist. No explosions, no debris. They were completely erased. Yet the civilian vessels only a few miles away were completely untouched. Earth had demonstrated its power. The message was clear. They could destroy any threat, with surgical precision or overwhelming force. The choice would be up to those who faced them. News of the Vordax fleet's destruction spread across the galaxy faster than light. Video recordings showed the precision of the weapon, how it had removed the warships while leaving civilian vessels untouched. No species had seen such technology since the time of the precursors. Supreme Commander Zexvor was recalled to the Vordax homeworld. His replacement, Commander Turvak, immediately called for a ceasefire with Earth. "The Galactic Coalition will meet to discuss peace terms," Turvak announced. "All hostilities against Earth and its allies will cease immediately." The Coalition sent representatives to Earth for the first time since the war began. The meeting was held in the rebuilt United Nations building in Geneva. Leaders from over 30 species gathered around a large table, with humans and Vordax sitting directly across from each other. Admiral Hayes and Dr. Bennett represented humanity. They entered the room to complete silence. Every alien eye followed them, some with fear, others with respect, a few with barely hidden anger. "We did not ask for this war," Hayes began. "We did not seek the power we now possess, but we will use it to protect ourselves and our allies. Earth wants peace, but we will never again be victims." The Coalition proposed terms. Earth would dismantle the Aegis system in exchange for guarantees of safety. Hayes refused. "We've heard promises before," he said. "Actions matter more than words now." Instead, Hayes offered different terms. Earth would join the Galactic Coalition as a full member with equal status. The Vordax would withdraw from all occupied worlds. The Alliance of Free Worlds would be recognized as legitimate. And Earth would maintain the Aegis system as a deterrent against future aggression. The negotiations lasted for weeks. Some species supported Earth's position. Others feared giving humans so much influence. The Vordax delegation fought against every concession. Finally, a compromise was reached. Earth would join the coalition with full membership. The Vordax would withdraw from occupied worlds, but maintain their traditional territories. and Earth would keep the Aegis system under joint oversight with representatives from multiple species. "We will activate the weapon only in defense, never as aggressors," Hayes promised. "But we will never again be defenseless." When the treaty was signed, celebrations erupted across Earth and allied worlds. After nearly 8 years of war, peace had come at last. The rebuilding could begin. 6 months later, Dr. Bennett stood in her new office in the Coalition Embassy. Through her window, she could see the memorial to those lost in the war, a simple stone column rising toward the sky. Earth was healing, but the scars would remain for generations. Richard Allen joined her, carrying a data tablet. "The Coalition Archive has granted us access to their historical records," he said excitedly. "There's so much to learn about our new place in the galaxy." Bennett smiled. "And they have much to learn about us." Across the solar system, humans were already expanding outward again. Colonies on Mars were being rebuilt. Ships were traveling to distant stars, carrying human explorers and diplomats. Earth's technology was advancing rapidly as they combined their ingenuity with alien knowledge. In orbit, the 12 Aegis platforms continued their silent watch. They were both protection and burden, a constant reminder of the terrible power humans now controlled. Admiral Hayes often visited the control center, watching the monitors that showed Earth from space. Sometimes he wondered if they had made the right choices, but when he saw children playing in parks that had once been battlefields, he knew the answer. That evening, representatives from 17 species gathered for a formal dinner at the Coalition Embassy. As guests of honor, Hayes and Bennett sat near the center of the table. An elderly Novali ambassador leaned toward Hayes. "You know," he said quietly, "when we first discovered humans, many thought you were too aggressive, too unpredictable to join galactic society." "And now?" Hayes asked. The Novali smiled. "Now many species study human history, trying to understand how you survived against impossible odds. They call it the human spirit. It seems to be both your greatest weakness and your greatest strength." Hayes looked around the table at the diverse faces of beings from across the galaxy. Earth had found its place among the stars, not as conquerors or subjects, but as equals. Bennett raised her glass in a toast. "To peace," she said. Everyone at the table raised their glasses. "To peace," they echoed. But as Hayes sipped his drink, he glanced up at the sky, where the Aegis platforms orbited silently. Peace had come, but Earth's final message to the galaxy remained clear. One more attack means total destruction. It was a promise they hoped never to fulfill.